Well, hello, Bobby.
Hello, Taylor. How are you?
Doing fantastic.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here for our very first View from 32 podcast with Criterion. We're really excited about it, and we are really happy to have you here.
Thank you. I am beyond and over the moon to be part of this.
What have you been up to, creative-wise, in all of this? Have you been doing anything or writing or?
Well, let me say this about that. We call it BC, before COVID. I was pretty active. I put out a CD with Peter Lindquist in 2018. We toured that 18 and 19. We had plans to go back into the studio and do another. However, and then COVID happened. My husband and I were in Florida when the ball dropped, so 2 days after we got there, the state shut down. So I was not really able to do the open mic circuit, and so that whole creative thing kind of got put off a little. And at the time, it wasn't as serious as it is now.
Right, yeah.
So the good news is that in the campsite behind us, a gentleman was standing out at the road talking to us, and he said, "Is that a guitar over there?" And I said, "Well, yeah." "Oh, do you play a little bit?" And I said, "Just a little bit," because I wasn't going to go into that. And he says, "Oh, do you play or something? Could you play?" And I said, "Well, sure." And I was just not thinking it was serious. And he says, "Well, what are you doing Saturday night at 6 o'clock? And I said, "I'm doing a concert." He goes, "Where?" And I said, "That tree over there. Does that sound good?" He says, "Yep, we'll be there." Well, Saturday came, and I put my guitar over by the tree thinking nobody's going to show up, and I really wasn't excited about it. I just thought this was kind of
Right.
silly. Well, sure enough, all I had to do was go sit by the tree, and I heard this little ruckus, and about 8 golf carts showed up full of people and their drinks.
All right.
And they sat there and listened to me play for a couple hours.
Oh, wow.
That's not the best part. The best part is, instead of clapping, they did their little golf cart horns that go, meet, meet. It was the best. And then
That
I
sounds
did
like
it
a
the
good night.
next week, and 25 golf carts showed up.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was really great. And then, of course, we had to leave after that.
Right.
So that was about as creative as I got, and I did a couple gigs. That was fun.
Well, good. Yeah, I know this whole thing is kind of wrecking everyone's plans, and especially like we were chatting about live musicians and crew people. Everyone's kind of hurting right now.
That's right.
It's too bad.
I read 77,000 of us are either out of work, never to return.
Is
some of
that
us.
is that the number right now?
Yeah,
about?
that's the number right now. And I'm not
It's
counting
terrible.
union. Union, they're
Right.
set, but
Right.
these are musicians that may not get it back.
Yeah, it's true. It's
I'm the most fortunate musician I know. I live in this area, and I grew up with everybody here,
Right,
basically for the
right.
last 30 years. And this is, I cannot tell you how wonderful it is to be in such a supportive musician environment.
yeah, it really is a great place. Now you've done music in other states as well too.
Yes.
Have you found Maine to be one of the most
I grew up in Bridgeton, Western Maine.
right?
So my stomping grounds were North Conway.
Okay.
So that's really where I cut my teeth.
Yeah.
My first gig was when I was 11. By the way, I am celebrating 50 years in this music business.
Well, that's big news.
That's huge
Yeah.
news. I was going to have a party, and you were going to be invited. But we're going to
We should still do that. We
I
can do
know.
a Zoom party.
We'll do a Zoom party,
Yeah.
right, for 500 people.
Yeah.
So my first gig was at the ice cream store, and I had my 5 songs and my 3 chords, and I played those over and over and over, and my pay was as much ice cream as I could eat.
For
And
for an 11-year-old,
That
you can
was
put
a
away some
lot.
ice cream. Yeah.
Somebody had made a phone call. My father showed up, and I thought I was in trouble, which I kind of was. And he was waiting for me when I left, and I thought I was going to get away with it and walk home. But he was out there, and he had a Corvair. And I got in that Corvair ready for a lecture, and I was ready to start crying because that usually worked.
Right, yep. Oh yeah.
And he said, "Barbara Ann, never, ever again will you ever play for nothing. From this day forward, you are a professional musician." Okay, Daddy. Phew, I didn't know what it meant. I just knew it was a big word, and I liked it.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds good.
And I
Yeah.
never did.
It sounds really good. Well, that's cool. So, growing up being a musician from an early age, what are some of your early influences that got you into music, that got you started? Who do you look at and say, I want to be like this person?
My sisters were 10 and more years older than I was.
Okay.
So I listened to what they listened to when they came to visit.
Sure.
So it didn't really matter what it was. I just did it. So sometimes it was Elvis, and sometimes it was Dylan, and sometimes it was Everly Brothers, and sometimes it was all over
Gotcha.
the place. However, when I became a teenager and Dylan happened, that was magic. And then Joni Mitchell happened.
Okay.
And I was just lost in Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
And I learned every song on every album she ever put out.
I love it.
Yeah, I was a groupie for sure.
That's awesome. So Dylan and Joni Mitchell.
And Joan Baez and Willie Nelson.
So the singer-songwriter type person really just that drew you
Yeah.
drew to that.
It was the feeling I got when they spoke.
Right.
I didn't really hear it as singing and music. I heard it as the words that made my heart do things.
Gotcha. Yeah,
You know.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I totally get that. That's awesome. Are they what made you want to start writing music? What made you want to start? Did you just always have a love for it?
When I was 4 years old, I lined all my animals, my stuffed animals up against the wall, and I did a show.
Okay.
And I tapped the Good Ship Lollipop on my toy box. And I got a standing O for a long time. That
Yeah.
was pretty magic. I thought
You
that
were their
was-
number one fan.
I was.
Yeah.
So entertaining was what I really wanted to do.
Gotcha.
And then when I became a musician, it was the music part I wanted.
Right.
And it wasn't till later that I put the two together.
Gotcha.
I wasn't always an entertainer, and I wasn't always a musician. I was
Yeah,
always
well,
one
it
or
is.
the other.
It is two different things. It really
It
is, because
is.
anyone can. Well, not anybody, but you can stand on a stage and play songs and not be entertaining.
Correct.
And you can also entertain without playing songs. So it's a good balance of trying to find the two.
Yes, and for the last, I would say, when I really came into Bar Harbor, Maine, entertaining was easy. I could just be myself,
Yep.
and I could be fallible. I could not have a good night.
Right.
I could be right on, right not. I could have the best night, and it was okay with everyone.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I practice a lot. You know, it's very important to me to get it right. I went to
Oh,
music
absolutely.
school, and in college, you know, they beat it into you. You practice until you can't get it wrong.
Right.
And I would love to say I don't get it wrong, but I do. However, I like to practice still.
Yeah, I had a
That never
teacher
went away.
once when I was learning how to play. He said, if you need to be able to play the same thing 10 times in a row without messing it up. If you can do that, you've got it.
You go to the next
And
one.
yeah, and it takes way longer than you think it does to do 10 in a row without messing up one thing. But it's good. It's good for you. And like you said, you want to be perfect when you go out there and play.
Yeah.
And you know, music isn't about always being perfect all the time, but it makes you feel good as an
Technician.
entertainer, and as a technician and somebody that
technician.
loves it, to say
Yes.
that was perfect. I did that perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
As I get older, my hands are not as cooperative. I've had about 7 surgeries on my hands.
Oh wow.
So every time I'm done with that surgery, I go back and make sure I can do the thing.
That muscle
Whatever.
memory.
Yeah, make sure everybody's in place.
Yep.
I can still do everything. I just can't do it as long. You know, so I have that song coming up. I do it the one time and I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't practice it all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
here it comes. We're going to do it the one time and hope it's perfect.
I totally get that. I totally get that. So, talk to me a little bit about your music, about recording, about you know, your CDs. What do you do? How can people listen to your music?
I am a firm believer in live music paying for itself. When I started to dive into, I put about 3 CDs out, I guess.
Okay. Wow.
And I have all kinds of opportunities to go and stream it, and Spotify and CD Baby and all that. However, there's nothing more magic to me than when I'm a live show and somebody literally walks right up to me, plops down some money, and they take home a product. That's magic. Even better is when somebody emails me and says, here's a $10 bill. Still I get that.
Yeah.
Or they can Venmo me, PayPal me.
Okay.
And I literally put them in the mail, you know, with the stamp and all that. The mail.
A stamp?
A
What's that? No.
stamp and mail, and they open it on the other side, and there I am. that is still wonderful to me.
Totally. Analog.
It's so analog. It really is.
I love it. Well, we'll be sure to put your links down in the video description so that people can check out your music. You have a website that people can
Facebook.
Check? Facebook.
If
All
you
right.
go on Facebook and go to Bobbi Lane channel,
Okay.
you can avoid me with impeccable accuracy.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So tell me a little bit about, I don't know, personal life. You got kids? How many kids you have?
Well, let's see. I met my husband in, 87, I
Okay.
guess. We moved in together in 89. He had two. I
Okay.
had two. And so we just kind of became a farming unit. He
Yeah.
went to work and did the job thing. I stayed home and did the kid thing.
Okay.
That worked really well for a long time. And then realizing that we were going to be a couple, we decided to build a house. And that was wonderful. They're all grown up and gone now.
All right.
They are what, 39, 35, 35, and 34, I
All right.
think. And they are all the most amazing humans ever. I am proud of all of them.
Yeah, kids are really amazing part of your
Really, they
life.
are.
You know, I've got two little ones, and it's just so fun. They're growing up way too fast. Pretty soon they'll be 39 and 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really fun. Are they into music at all? Did
No.
they? No.
No,
Interesting.
no. They all can, play a mean radio,
Yeah.
but none of them really took to it. My son, who's the baby, I don't think he realizes how talented he is. He's the one.
Yeah.
And went, wow. And he had a guitar, and he played a lot, and then he would sing, but he wouldn't sing in front of anybody. But every
Yeah.
once in a while I could hear him, and I went, oh my gosh, he can sing.
Yep.
But he just doesn't know.
Yeah.
Now he does, because I just told everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. So sorry about that. Well, that's cool. So the other thing too that I wanted to talk about with you is the music festival that you started.
Bobby Stock.
Yeah, that's the
Well-
one. I want to hear a little bit about that.
It started innocently enough, like all do, a couple of beers and a shot of tequila. And the next thing I know.
That's how a lot of things start.
Exactly. And the next thing I know, we are on a train playing music to 200 people. And the next day, we've got 500 people in my driveway with 10 bands for the day.
All right.
I mean, it went so fast. We did that party 4 years. I really wish I could say that it was always fun, but for the most part, it was a blast.
Yeah.
What a fun thing to do. I was so fortunate that all the bands in the area, and I mean pretty much all of them, were able to come and play, and they played for free.
Yeah. See, that's so cool.
That is a huge deal, because as a musician who doesn't play for free, I felt that was a huge ask
Yeah.
for them to do that. But it was really more about getting together, and it was supposed to just be a jam.
Right.
Well, then without an audience, why? And then, well, what if we had this small stage? What if we had a big stage too, so we could do this stage, then that stage? What if we had vendors? Well, what if we had, we're going to need some porta potties. We're going to need, and it became a huge party.
Well, that's really fun.
It
Well,
was fun.
And like you're saying about, musicians, it's really a community. And so a place to get together where people can, show their art, their
Exactly.
music just to some people that might have not heard it.
Right.
Maybe sell some CDs. That's cool.
Oh, it was great. We had
Yeah.
food art. I mean, vendors came. We had food everywhere. And we have the most amazing cooks around, chefs and cooks
Yeah.
in the music world. Who knew? But they
Right.
came to my house and cooked on the grill. And I mean, the whole other yard was just full of, steam tables and barbecues. And it was
Yeah.
wonderful. It was
That's
a great
cool.
party. Great party.
I love it. I love it. So, Bobby Stock, did you ever do any touring, any traveling, playing
When
music?
I was in my 20s, I
Okay.
lived in North Conway. And I had an agent
Okay.
and a manager. And they sent me wherever. Now, it was totally different than this. This is, when you have an agent and manager, you sign a contract, they get a percentage of what you do, and
Right.
you just get directions, and believe it was just directions. So I
Like, go
went-
here, play here.
Yeah,
at this
and
time.
this is how you do it, and this is what you do, and
Yeah.
this is liner notes, contracts, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And so I did that for about a year and a half. And it took about a year and a half for me to figure out that wasn't what I wanted to do. I got sent to a pretty awful place in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And I didn't know that there were venues, I'd only seen it on TV, that have nets in front of the stage, and I didn't know why. So I went to this venue.
I can't say that I even know why right now.
Well, I'm about to tell you.
Good.
And I was only 21 at the time.
Okay, so still just a kid.
Baby,
Yeah.
you know, just a kid. And I went to this place, and it was down in a cellar, so I had to lug my own gear, and I had Randall columns then on my shoulders, lugging gear into this venue in a cellar. I got there and saw this net in front, didn't even think about it, and the stage was just kind of gross, but I got business to do. I can't be,
Sure.
Set it all up. I'm halfway through the first song. I don't remember what it was, and I felt something splash on me. And I looked up, and I couldn't, what was that? And I put my head back down. I was into my music, whatever it was, and I felt another splash, and I saw something go past me, and I looked, and it was a tomato. That's what the nets are for.
It's just a
People-
common
it
occurrence
was
that
a
people just
common
throw
thing.
food and drinks and
Yeah, it was what, 11 o'clock at night?
it,
I did everything wrong. First of all, I was indignant. 21 years old. The little woman's pissed now, right? So
yeah.
I get
Well,
down.
I mean, I would have been too
I
probably.
put my guitar down. I marched my little self. I think about this now, and it's the guy, he could have just killed me in one swat. And I went right down, and I saw the guy, and I poked him on the chest, and I called him a bunch of names. And I'm thinking now, he could have just killed me right there. Boom. But he didn't. And he just looked at me like I had 3 heads. And I went up there, and I packed up my gear and went home.
So this was a venue, bar, what was it?
It was a bar.
How did he get, where did he get a tomato in a bar?
I think they bring them.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I think it's part of the thing. It's part of the
Oh,
thing.
that's just what they do.
That's what they do. It's that bar.
Okay, so you play there and you
And I-
might get hit with fruit.
Yep. And I went home and fired the agent. That's what I did.
That sounds like
That was the end of
maybe
that.
a good choice.
It was. It was the best choice I ever made. Because then
Easier to do
it was
it on your
easier
own.
because I could deal with club owners myself.
Right.
I
And-
didn't
and
have
actually
to-
ask the questions like, hey, am I going to get a
Exactly.
tomato thrown at me?
Yeah.
Or are we cool?
Yeah. You know,
All right.
I didn't have to deal with the club owner that spoke perfect English when the contract was made and then didn't know English when the time to pay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No more of that.
I understand. So I'm sure you have some crazy stories from your travels, such as that. Any others pop to your mind?
I have a lot
you
of
can
road
share.
stories. I do. I have a lot of road stories. I would like to do a project, actually, to have musicians I know come to my house, and we'll sit around in a circle, and each of us will tell our road story, because musicians and road stories, I mean, they're the best. They're the
It's
best.
so true.
It is so true. And just trade stories and then play a song.
Yeah.
And then trade another story, play a song.
That's a
We'll all
great
play
idea.
Doesn't that sound
That'd
like
be
a
a-
blast?
that'd be a good,
I think you need
good
to help me with
podcast
that.
episode.
It would, wouldn't it? So my favorite one, I was playing in a local place, and I was doing this AC/DC thing, and the band was behind me and everything else. And people, this was only 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the audience in front, we were in a bar, and they had their phones, and it was wonderful. And all of a sudden, the crowd got a little crazy, and they were laughing, and I didn't know why, and I looked sideways out of the corner of my eye, and the bass player's pants had fallen down, and he had gone commando that night. Yeah, that was a real fun time, and he didn't bother. He played
No,
the
he
whole...
just rolled with it.
No, just rolled with it. What
All
are you
right.
going to do?
The
When you
music
can't-
must carry on.
I guess so. You know, that's one of my favorite road stories. I mean, I've got a lot of them, but that's the
I'm
most
sure.
recent.
That's a good one. I love it. I love it. So I guess I'd love to hear also, you're going to play some songs for
I
us
am.
here in a minute.
I am.
You want to talk about what you're going to play?
I have kind of a, I don't know how to describe it. I have 4 songs that I do. He loves me, he hates me, I'm leaving him, I'm coming back songs.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
My grateful songs and not so grateful songs. I'm a folk singer. So that's what I do. You know, some are sad and some are not.
Yeah.
You know, so what I tell customers when they're in front of me, I say I play an eclectic mix
Yeah.
of
I
acoustic,
think
folk,
that's
rock, and jazz.
that's a good description of what
You know,
of that,
because
yeah.
I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't know musicians that want to peg themselves into a stereotype anyway.
Right. I totally
I
get
certainly
that.
don't want to do that.
I totally get that. It's funny. My wife and I write a little bit here and there, and we always start, we write and record and play, and it's fun. We enjoy
is
it.
good.
And we set out, we're like, okay, we're going to write like an upbeat, happy song. And then we just write a super sad, depressing song. That's just the way, I don't know what it is. It's
Music
just,
makes sad songs really happy.
I know, it's true. And
Bluegrass.
I feel, every time we write a song, it's just like, well, that took a turn. But it's just, I don't know, every single time.
You don't, I sometimes think I don't think I've ever sat down to write. It's there when I wake up, or it's there right then. So you have to do it right then.
Yeah.
So whatever's going on is right then,
Just keep your guitar out and just,
all the time. Mm-hmm.
I totally get it.
Yep. I really do have to say, though, in the last 10 years, I haven't been as creative because my life is kind of manageable and good.
Yeah.
I don't have, when you have 4 kids, there's material all day.
That's very true.
You
That's
know?
very true. Yeah.
So, and now I don't have the kids home. I'm not as busy now. My life is manageable. So the material has kind of slipped away. So I have
Yeah.
to write songs that are more benign than anything.
Right.
Grateful songs.
Yep,
grateful
totally. Well, there's a lot to
songs.
be thankful for.
Yeah.
Even right now during all this, there is a lot to be thankful for. I know one of my favorite artists, he's a videographer, and he always says that, I wish that I would have gone through harder things in my life, to somehow make my art richer in some way, that, because some people go through something and they write these beautiful songs that come from an actual something they've gone through, and it's beautiful. And when your
Yeah.
life is amazing and everything's going great, it's hard to dig down and find something super deep to write about, other than everything's good.
Well, it takes a lot of work
It does.
and a lot of money and therapy and all that to get to a point where you can just be normal. Well, normal doesn't sell.
It's true. It's
Normal
very
doesn't
true.
sell.
It's
So
very true.
sometimes I feel like I need to just, I don't know, bring up stuff or make up stuff. And at the risk of sounding like a country song, there's something to be said for jail and the dog and the train. There's something. You can't have a country song without them.
You can't have a little whiskey.
And whiskey,
Everything's fine.
women.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Exactly. Well, that's cool. I really appreciate you chatting with us, Bobby, and I'm looking forward to hearing you sing some
Great,
songs.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're
This is
so
very
excited, and this is going to be something that, this is our first episode, and so, it'll morph, and we want to partner with people like you that
Well, I
want to
can't
come
wait
in.
to hear
And
from everybody else.
we're super excited. I know that we have, several artists that are really excited about coming in,
Great.
and I know there will be more that want to come in and share their experience and their stories and their art and their music, and so we're really looking forward to it, and we can't wait to move forward with this. But we're really happy to hear from you, so we're going to dip out for a second. And
Okay.
We're going to hear you play.
All right.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah.
So, the first song I want to do for you today is the title cut from an album that I made with Peter Lindquist. This is called Talk a Little Texan. There really isn't a lot of backstory. He does, his history is a lot of music in Austin and Arizona, Texas, and my history is not. I'm here from Maine, so when I wrote this song, it was pretty poignant that we should do it together. So here we go. Talk a little Texan to me, darling, and I will talk a little Mainer back to you. I can show you how to eat a lobster if you show me how to do the barbecue. I can show you how to dance the contra if you show me that two-step too. I will call you dear 'cause it means I'm glad to see you if you sing to me the yodelay-hoo. Well, I can take you on the boat a fishing. I can show you how to cast yourself a line. You can take me riding with the cowboys as we sit upon the saddle so fine. We can sit upon the porch at sunset. We'll have ourselves a little glass of wine. You can have the surf and I can have the turf, and we'll have ourselves a mighty fine time. one thing left to work out, dear. That's the mileage that's between the you and me. I don't think this is a problem when there is a thing that is the way you see. Planes and trains and buses roam the country, depending on where you want to be. I could winter there, or you could summer here, or we could just meet in Tennessee. Yodelay-yo, yodelay-yo, yodelay-yo. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So the next thing I want to do for you is play the sad song, because sad songs are very important to folk singers. This song is about a woman who got dumped at a truck stop. Please don't ask me why I needed to write this, but I did. This is about a girl who will never get over him. This is called God's Honest Lie. We rolled into Utah around sunset, with the lights of Salt Lake City looming up ahead. We stopped for a bite to eat, to check the phone. When I came out, your Malibu was gone. So tell me the God's honest lie, that the stars are in my head, not in the sky. Just tell me that we will be together for eternity. Please tell me the God's honest lie. I started to catch on around midnight, when I didn't see hide nor hair of your Malibu. These truckers here, they're looking at me a mite funny. So I hitched a ride with the one that looked like you. So tell me the God's honest lie, that the stars are in my hair, not in the sky. Just tell me that we will be together for eternity. Please tell me the God's honest lie. It's been about 10 years since I saw you. You were squeezing some tomato in a grocery store. I hid behind the postcards and I watched you. When you're done with her, I'll come back for more. So tell me the God's honest lie, that the stars are in my hair, not in the sky. Just tell me that we will be together for eternity. Please tell me the God's honest lie. Just tell me the God's honest lie. Please, please tell me the God's honest lie. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So, this next song's kind of fun, and I get requested a lot for this. I did a benefit for heat assistance back in the teens, And I wrote this song about my husband. And for any of you that know him, he is the guy that keeps the bottom on the bottom. You never have to worry about what's going on with him. He likes his routines, and he keeps everything the way it should be. And he's married to a musician who doesn't do any of that. As a musician, I'm all over the place. My schedule's different every single day, which means I have to fit in the other things that go along with being a musician. And then, of course, I am menopausal, which is a whole different thing. But anyway, so the name of this song is Steady Eddie. And it was a great song, and I had a great time doing it. However, for many weeks after I played the song, people would go to my husband's work and call him Steady Eddie. And that was great fun and everything. Roger will be more famous than I will ever be. So anyway, since that worked out so well, the next year I wrote another song for him called Numbnuts, but that didn't nearly go as well as I'd hoped. So anyway, this is Steady Eddie. Steady Eddie is what I call you when folks ask me how you are. Steady Eddie is how they know that's why it's worked so well so far. Steady Eddie doesn't pull any punches. He cooks in the kitchen and he's rugged and tough. Steady Eddie makes all my lunches. There's only one crazy and his humor's off the cuff. Well, there's only one crazy. That's me. There's only one lazy. That's me. And all of our days, he's Steady Eddie. Steady Eddie goes to work every morning. 7:52, he's never late. Steady Eddie comes home in the evening. 5:22, he opens the gate. Steady Eddie loves his weekends. He sleeps till 7, then he's on the run. Steady Eddie's got a tight agenda, Sudoku puzzles and cleaning his gun. He doesn't cry, no, that's me. There's only one why, no, and that's me. And that is how I know he's Steady Eddie. My in-laws think he's foolish. They can't understand a little girl like me. My in-laws, they all wish they had a cute little boy like Steady Eddie. Steady Eddie is out there somewhere. I could probably put a finger on his locale. Steady Eddie might just surprise me. Might have gone across the street with his pals. There's only one lover for me, and he's got it covered for me. I hold all of my love for Steady Eddie. Oh, Steady Eddie. Oh, Steady Eddie. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. We want to thank you for joining us here at our premiere episode of The View from 32, live out of the 1932 Criterion Theatre. We're so excited to be able to do this, to pull together stories of art and music and dance and all of the wonderful stories that come out of a beautiful old theater like this. This is the new age. We are very glad to be here. And we thought that a segment on the spoken word could be represented well. I'm a fan of poetry myself, and thought that we could bring a little section, a little selection every week to you. I've got a couple lined up, but I just wanted to open up with this about poetry. When there are people, there are poems. Some of the earliest writings known are in verse. And throughout human history, new poets have continued to appear, often without warning or preparation. Even young children can write real poems and like to do it, as the poet Kenneth Koch found when he taught creative writing to sixth graders in the New York's Public School 61. Whatever the reason for poetry's origins, it has continued to attract people. And our own century has proved to be a great period for it. Because poetry has consistently figured so large in human culture, many people have tried to define its true nature. It is painting that speaks, the best words in the best order, the supreme fiction. It is a criticism of life, the breath of a finer spirit, of all knowledge, a little leaf in the drawer of a sublet room. The poet Wallace Stevens, who tried many definitions, once remarked with seeming impatience, poetry is the sum of its attributes. This is from a book, An Introduction to Poetry, Modern Poems, edited by Richard Ellman and Robert Auclair. And I thought for us here to start this out, I would fall back on some beautiful old familiars for me. Now, I'm a big fan of the Robert Frost. Mr. Robert Frost is just a wonderful wordsmith. He's got such a way to turn. And I've chosen a couple of his shorter poems to get us going in. This one is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it's queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there's some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. Miles to go before I sleep. This one is The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler, long as I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept for the first another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So thank you very much. That's our debut segment of poetry. We're wide open to suggestions, comments, questions, concerns. Please get a hold of us in any way you can. Snail mail, carrier pigeon, all the usual electronical devices. And thank you so much. We hope you've enjoyed this, and we're going to see you again next week. Thank you.